Hi, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be my first review video. You can see there's still plenty of clouds around. We've had quite a lot of rain in the last 24 hours down the Gold Coast, which is down that way about 120 kilometres to the southeast. They've had about 100 millimetres of rain in the last 24 hours, so the worst of it's past, but we should still get passing showers tonight. So what I've got here is the one-person Nightcat dome tent. This is a single skin dome tent. It's one of their budget tents. I took it on my last camping trip. If you've seen that video, you recognise this tent, and it performed quite well. I mean, admittedly it was good weather. There was no wind, no rain, but the tent was quite roomy, very comfortable inside. So we've had a lot of rain in the last 24 hours. We're expecting some continued passing showers, so it'll be a good test for the tent. I don't usually go out in really bad weather, so if this holds up in passing showers, it'll be a good test for the tent. Anyway, I'll bring you back when I set it up. So this tent is 210 centimetres long, 115 wide and 115 high. It looks a lot like some really cheap tents that you can see on eBay, Amazon, AliExpress and so forth. But that shouldn't fool you. It's actually a real step up in quality. The fiberglass poles are very strong. It has these clips rather than sleeves. The sleeves are prone to tearing on some of these cheaper tents, and the poles often break as you're setting it up, or if the poles don't break, it can pull apart between the wall of the tent and the floor of the tent on the final corner when you're trying to erect the really cheap tents. But this tent doesn't have any of those problems. You can see that it only has a single door. The two-man version of this tent has two doors. And it's made quite well. I was really impressed when I was camping with the quality of this tent. It's really good. It seems to be really good value. So the only question will be if it can handle a rain test. I've only seen one review of this tent on YouTube, and I think it was the older version with the sleeves, and the owner complained about the zippers being very stiff. It's not a problem on this one here, or even my other older two-man version. The zips are just one-handed. Anyway, you can see I've set the tent up. Well, the pillow isn't standard for camping. I've got sort of a knockoff of the Nature Hike air mat, which may be a knockoff of the Alpkit ultralight air mat, normal foil, summer sleeping bag, luxury pillow because I'm in the backyard, and you can see there how wide the gap is. Almost enough room for a half a person, a bit more than half a person, so a good 1.5 man tent. That's the space you get with 115 centimetre width. So with regards to the rain test, with the two-man tent, the only problem I've had was water coming in through one of these seams, and I think the problem was that through these two corners, what I've done is I've pulled them as far apart as I can, so this line is taut, this side's taut, and I think the water was pooling on the outside of the tent at this point, so it was sagging a bit and water was pooling, and eventually it seeped through. So I'm hoping that, well, I'm hoping, one, that it rains tonight, and two, I'm hoping that it doesn't come in through those seams. Some of the features of this tent while I'm here, see there's a pocket at this end, that's the only pocket in this tent. It'd be nice if there was a pocket up that end, or a pocket near the door, and there's a hook that you can hang a lamp from, and that's about the only things inside this tent. Now that I've set up the tent, everything's inside it, I'm thinking about staying in it overnight. Some of you might poo-poo backyard camping, but you can see in the trees over there, that palm tree, the wind's blowing around, and the trees further down are howling in the wind, or leaning in the wind. See some of the effects of the wind here. So you can see that there are quite a few dark clouds about, still quite a bit of wind gusting up. I do enjoy the sound of rain on the tent, enjoy the sound of wind in the trees, so I think I'm justified in camping out. I'm surrounded by some lovely grevilleas. They attract birds. This is a tree called the snowstorm, another native Australian tree, and it attracts birds, flowers and so forth. This is a variety of a bottle brush. You might be able to see a few red flowers left on it, and honey eaters and noisy miners come for those flowers. There's another variety of grevillea over here which also attracts birds. There's a golden flowered grevillea, again attracts honey eaters and so forth. We have here a beautiful banksia from Western Australia. So it's a fairly wild backyard, and if that's not wild enough for you, I'll show you something else. So here we have a skin of probably a carpet snake, a carpet python I suppose, more commonly known as. It comes in two pieces. I found this on the front lawn. I thought that was the actual snake skin curled up there, but that's the front half of the snake skin. It's actually that diameter because it's split and come off around the snake, which gives you an idea of how big the snake was at that point. And then there's another metre or so of the tail here I found a couple of days later hanging in the tree. My neighbour mentioned that the birds were quite noisy one morning. Maybe they're trying to scare off the snake while it was shedding its skin. But I see a lot of guys wild camping in the UK. I think that there's between the snakes that we get around here, get a lot of possums in our backyard, lots of birds, cats, feral and otherwise. It's pretty wild in this backyard relative to some of the places, so I think I'm quite justified in sleeping out here tonight, and I really enjoy it. The sound of the rain on the tent and the wind in the trees. Probably can't pick up the wind on this microphone here, but it's just beautiful to listen to that at night. Anyway, I'll bring you back when I'm in the tent, or when I'm in the tent and it's raining. I'll see you later. It's about 9:30. I've just come back to the tent. It's pretty quiet at the moment. There's a lot of cloud about, but it's not raining. I'm going to sign off. If I wake up and it's raining, I'll bring them back. If not, I'll see you in the morning. Bye. Okay, well, it's
might be able to hear the birds. There's a noisy miner somewhere nearby. Also still raining. Sometimes it rains heavy. There's a bit of wind. There's a tree above me, a small tree. It's blowing the branches around and shaking the moisture out of the tree. But I think it's still drizzling. Anyway, I was mildly surprised. It rained quite a lot after midnight, and it looks like the tent's held up. I'll just show you around the corners. Okay, there's my footwear and that. So we're adjacent to the door of the tent, and there's nothing there. It's all dry. It's all dry there. Around behind the bed in that corner, there's no moisture down there. It's the same along here. I was surprised. I thought it would leak through this seam there, but there's nothing. Now I'll just turn this off and bring it back at the other end. So again, starting from the other door, there's nothing along the seam. There's nothing deep down in that corner. No water pooling. Nothing along that seam. It's all quite dry. The only problem I had was this back wall here, just above the pillow. There's a bit of condensation there. Not too much. There was a bit of rain last night, but there's a bit of condensation nonetheless. All in all, it's been a pretty good evening. The tent's held up remarkably well for a budget tent. These Nightcat tents come in Australia under $80, and if you're just a casual camper, or you're mainly a fine weather camper, then this probably it probably won't be excessively waterproof. I wouldn't go camping in the high country or a multi-day hike where there's a chance of the weather going south, but for a local camp or a car camp where there's a slight chance of rain, or maybe you're only expecting a little bit of rain, then I think this tent's more than adequate for that sort of stuff. Anyway, if you've gotten this far, thanks for watching. I might catch you on another one.